Hey, the study of, the application of, and the whole process of you dealing with law and the legal aspect of it, the operation of it, should not be a flavor, should not be a trend, should not be a fashion. It should not be a temporary feel good thing for you. It should not be an additive to your lifestyle. It should be your lifestyle. If you're not willing to really commit yourself to it, then you're not going to see any changes. You're just going to keep struggling. You're just going to keep fighting. And in the process of struggling and fighting, you're just going to keep finding a way to get this short and instant gratification of feeling like you're doing something special. The reason you study the law and its functional practical application is so that your life can be easier, so that you could be more comfortable in situations and circumstances and positions where others are uncomfortable, so that you could grow, whether it's financially, socioeconomically, or in other aspects of life. If you're doing this thing and you're finding this to be just an additive just so you can do it or say it just to feel good about yourself, or because it's what you're hearing people talk about and it just feels good, then this is probably not for you. Because you'll be given a rude awakening. You will be made to suffer. Nature will test you. And nature will bring across you people who don't know any better, or for the lack of better terms, just don't care about knowing any better. And if it's just a trend, a fashion, or a flavor to your lifestyle, an additive to whatever lifestyle you're living, you're just using, talking about the law, talking about doing something special, this is something that makes you feel good, and you're not really true to it, the spirit of the law is not one with you, sooner or later, you'll be faced with a circumstance that's going to kick your behind. You will lose in places where you ought not to have lost. You'll lose assets, you'll lose property, and even worse, you'll lose valuable time, valuable resource, and valuable energy. You're wise. So here's a word for you. Don't make this an additive or a flavor or a fashion or a trend in your life. Be it. Really make understanding, comprehending, being savvy to what law really is, whether it's on a national level, local level, or international level, whether it's on a corporal or incorporeal level. Truly know what it is and have the intent of making it a lifestyle. So much so to the point where you don't even consciously think about using the law as a lifestyle. It is just what you just do. And before you know, you're casually incorporating it into even the most subtle aspect of what you do. And you begin to see functional benefit of it. Different facets of life. Many people out here are using, talking about the law, talking about this, talking about that, as a fashion, as an additive, as a flavor to them. At the end of the day, these are the same people that have questions about the most basic things. Dealing with basic things like, how do I not get traffic tickets? How do you not register your car? They banter, back and forth, speculative. If this thing is just a feel-good thing or something you're using as an opportunity to just rebel against someone, just to say no, just to feel like you have some illusion of power, you will suffer. This path will make you suffer. You will lose a lot. If you're seeking for this just to be a feel-good thing that you're doing just to feel different or to appear different or to sound different, you will get your ass kicked. This has to be one with you. And let's be truthful with one another. All men are not made equal. Things of this nature is not meant for everyone. It just isn't. And deep down, most of us know that. It sounds right. It sounds good. And most of us think, well, it's about time something different comes along in their lives to be able to make change or to entertain their minds with. But when it comes to the functional, practical application of it, the way you see someone apply it might not necessarily be the same way that it's meant for you to apply it. The extent in which someone else has applied it might not be the extent to which you're capable of doing so. Yours might be more, yours maybe not so much. But do know that the law applies to everyone. But while keeping that in mind, know that where your rights end is where someone else begins. And know that where someone else begins is where someone else's picks up. Stop trying to be like other people. Learn the facts. Take your time with it. Don't get lost in the hype. Don't get lost in the sauce. Take your time to the point where you actually see yourself applying it in every asset of your life. Every aspect of your life. Be one with it. Be true to it. Don't half-step. You say you know about the law and you're going into a court building and they're telling you to take some hat off of your head and you're doing it, and all that you got to say at the end of the day is some complaint, writing some stuff, some witness letter about some guy telling you to take your hat off, and that's it. You even took it off and you don't know what the proper response is. Something is wrong. Something is seriously wrong, because that is the most basic of the most. It's the most basic thing. Don't do this because it just feels good. Do it because you know what you're actually doing. Do it because it's one with your spirit. Don't just talk just to talk. Too many people out here talk just to talk. Too many people just open their mouth just to waste a lot of air of a lot of time. Especially when you're out there with people who don't know and don't give a fuck, or people who know and don't give a fuck. You using the law, its appearance, its similitude as an additive or fashion or a trend in your lifestyle works to your detriment. And you are a servant, you yourself, that's using the law and its appearance as an add-on or as a fashion or as a trend in your life. You yourself are acting as entropy to the totality of circumstance. That collective consciousness of people actually knowing what law is and how to enforce it through the subtleties and the most obvious things, you are working against it. Don't rush it. Take your time. Take 3, 4, 6 years learning it, doing the self-reflection that's required. You will have to change your lifestyle. Certain things that you used to do, you will have to let it go. You would have to go into some form of isolation. It's necessary. The greatest revelations that you really get that leads to success and things of this nature are given to you during moments of isolation. It's not to say that that's the only medium for you to be able to get things done. But for the most part, those who've done certain things to change their lives using law, socioeconomically, or just with typical stuff like dealing with court cases and stuff like that, those epiphanies came to them in isolation. You don't have to go to some mountain or a cave to lock yourself up, but be alone and study. And that study is not some formality whereby you plan to study at a time of the day or whatever it is. Just incorporate things along the line of law in your life. And it would, that moment, those moments would naturally come to life. Knowledge and wisdom are like sentient and active entities, casually standing right there watching you ever so closely, observing you at every moment. And if you are worthy of it, they will tap you on the shoulder and reveal themselves to you. It's like plants. You walk on a bike trail, you walk in the neighborhood, you have these different plants around you. Though each of those plants are like human beings, two individual human beings, standing right there just looking at you. Should those plants have their own family name, their species, their genres? They have their own individual name and uses and their correspondence. And they're ever so around you every day, just standing there looking at you as you walk past, and you're just clueless to it. The same thing applies with law and the different types of law. It's just sitting there just looking at you, just waiting for you to just look back at it. But just know that, as the saying goes, once you stare long at the abyss enough, the abyss starts to stare right back at you. And then when you start figuring out certain things about how this thing really works, it makes so much sense that it gets mind-blowing. And the reason it gets mind-blowing is the simplicity that's involved in it. If this thing is just a trend or a fashion or an additive or a temporary feel-good thing that you're doing to exercise some power that you feel like you lacked because you felt bullied your whole life socioeconomically, lawfully, legally, and now you're just trying to bark back at someone with this, you will get your ass kicked. It is not until you make this a lifestyle, it's not until you make this one with you, that you really begin to see the functional benefit of it. And most of the people, on the other hand, taking advantage of you on all levels of life, in the realm you can see and the realm you cannot see. They want you to stay in the realm of fashion and trend when it comes to things of this nature. They want you to stay in the realm of belligerence. They want you to stay in the realm of constantly being angry. They want you to stay in a realm whereby you don't see things from the totality of circumstance. They want that. They want you to be limited. They're already doing that. The least you can do is not perpetuate that. The best way you can not perpetuate limitation for yourself when it comes to learning about the application of law, its origin, its substance, how it applies to you, and how you can apply it, is taking your time with it. If you need, don't be afraid to seek out assistance. Most people, when they come into this, they're so stuck in that old state of mind that they have that they're afraid to ask for help. They're afraid to ask for assistance. They're afraid to ask someone to explain. They're afraid to invest in themselves. Think about that. Some of these things, people go to colonial education schools for years after years after years, paying thousands and thousands, whether by way of the gas that they spend traveling, or by way of whatever it is that they spend on books or tuition or parking tickets, whatever, all that subtleties. But they cannot get a simple consultation for a few change, to actually change their life. A conversation is what changes your life. If you look at things that exist, even in your individual lives as an individual, the things that really highlighted those things that got you to make a change are conversations. Either conversations with yourself or with other people. Too many people just yap their mouths and open their mouths. At the end of the day, you don't learn anything from them. If someone is willing to open their mouths and have a conversation with you about something that you will learn from and retain forever, and then pass it on to other people that will change your life, the least you can do is to spend some resource to obtain it. People say attention is the only energy you have to spend. Yes, that's part of it. But you also have to invest. If you're willing to invest monies and other things in life, people buy pizzas for $30, $50. People spend money on lesser things of value that deteriorate their lifestyle, their mind, body, and soul. Why not just invest in something that would functionally make your life better? But at the end of the day, most people still will not get this, because this is just a trend and a fashion to them. It's just a temporary feel-good thing for them. It's not a lifestyle. It's not. Try not to be one of those people. Use this to actually make your life better. Use this to actually see changes. Beyond arguing with people. Beyond fighting and resisting things. Nothing wrong with that. That's part of your learning experience. But you should get to a point where you're beginning to control your own reality based on your knowledge of the law so much that it begins to bring you positive things. And the only way that can be accomplished is if you move beyond the realm of trend, beyond the realm of fashion, beyond the realm of bandwagoning, beyond the realm of just temporary gratification, beyond the realm of belligerence of looking for someone to say no to, or looking for somebody to stand up against. If you know what you're doing, you wouldn't even need to stand up or say no to someone. They will run away from you. And when they face you, they will properly acknowledge you. And if they appear as though they're not properly acknowledging you, you will have no need to want to feel the need to make them feel a certain way. You just execute. And by virtue of you simply executing, they will simply move their head out of the way, because they don't want that thing coming down on them. And once that happens, it wouldn't even feel as though you just had a victory, because that's just exactly how it's supposed to be. Anything else otherwise would be unnatural. You won't feel the need to post something on social media just because some flimsy little thing that many people has done, whereby that actually incriminates you in many ways that you don't know. And to those who know, they're looking at you as though you're just a child. There's different levels to these things. Some, even on venues like this, can only be vaguely discussed. Don't make this a fashion or a trend. Don't make this just a feel-good thing. Feel good, but don't limit it to just that. This shouldn't be like a chase for a high. This shouldn't be like something you just want to open your mouth and run your mouth so you can just sound cool about it. No. No. This is a lifestyle. Be it. Be one with it. Just a food for thought. Best of luck.